All right. Big news and the whole Jeffrey Epstein saga. We've got two pieces of information here. I don't want to make separate videos of them. I'm just gonna summarize both of them. There's too much going on with them that I want to let it develop, and then I'll make some more videos of each as more comes from it. First is the Congress is cracking down on ABC News for killing the Jeffrey Epstein story. Megyn Kelly reported on Sunday night that House Minority Leader Representative Kevin McCarthy has contacted the president of ABC News and is demanding the network answer questions about why it killed a bombshell story 3 years ago on convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein that involved former Democratic President Bill Clinton. The news comes out of James O'Keefe's Project Veritas. Everybody knows that Amy Robach had made it on network. They had the scandal, blah, blah, blah. There's a video. We've already seen it. I made a video about that in the past. And a letter obtained by Kelly. McCarthy asked ABC News President James Goldston the following questions. Will ABC News provide Congress with the interview Ms. Robach conducted with the victim? What did ABC News learn about Jeffrey Epstein after Ms. Robach first presented her story to executives? Who was involved in deciding this story was not of public interest, and what were their reasons for deciding so? Can Ms. Robach expand on the outside forces she mentioned as potentially responsible for the story not running? Was ABC News ever presented with additional evidence on Mr. Epstein from the time Ms. Robach first brought her investigation to the network and when he was ultimately arrested? Were authorities alerted any time after Ms. Robach presented the ABC News executives with her reporting? If so, when and what was provided? And I'm not going to go through this whole thing. You can read the letter here. This is on Megyn Kelly's Twitter. No, it's Instagram, sorry. Probably on our Twitter as well, but Instagram. The last part is kind of why they wanted to get into it. Although it's unclear whether anyone thought to alert the authorities to to further examine these deeply disturbing allegations, it's clear that ABC News' enabling of Mr. Epstein has consequences, fewer victims. Whether anything comes of this or not, that is a very good point. Why would, even if you're going to kill this story, not ABC not go to the authorities with this? You don't have to do it yourself, but you obviously, as the owner of ABC and somebody who's got all these journalists with connections, why couldn't you funnel this to somebody who has the ability to look into this? If you've got victims, if you've got pictures, interviews, proof, if you're not going to put out the story, give the information to somebody. I don't think it's going to happen that ABC will say they did, but I don't think they will. We'll see what comes out of this. This is just part of the ongoing story about the whole ABC cover up on this. But man, it's a scumbag thing to do it, to not at least give this information to somebody. And we'll see what comes of Congress putting pressure on ABC for killing this story. The next part is, God, I hate the Daily Mail so much. No, I don't want to see a stupid ad. Not interested. The guards are online shopping for furniture and napping when the millionaire pedophile committed suicide in his cell just 15 feet away. This was, I think it was the other day. What day was this? The 19th. Updated on the 20th. Two correctional officers who were responsible for guarding Jeffrey Epstein on the night he hanged himself were allegedly online shopping for furniture and napping instead of checking on the millionaire pedophile in his jail cell just 15 feet away from them. Now, I'll stop right there. Look, I don't want to say I sleep on the job, but I get it. But look, you've got one of the highest, the highest tier criminals in your jail. You shouldn't just be relying on two people like this to surveil them. Where are the extra cameras? Isn't there a guy on? Shouldn't he be live on camera with somebody else watching? Even if they're not checking up on him 24/7, shouldn't this man have a camera on him? Like if they're leaning back in their chair looking at furniture, shouldn't they just turn their head? I got 3 monitors here. Why can't they have 3 monitors there and one of them just has feed of all the high priority people on it? and then every 15 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever, they go check up on him physically. It doesn't make any sense. Look, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying I get it. You get bored at work, you do other stuff. Not everybody is a high-profile criminal who requires this kind of watching. Anyway, Tova Noel. Tova. Tova. And Michael Thomas, not to be confused with famed Saints quarterback Michael Thomas, who is a beast. He is 41. Pleaded not guilty to charges of falsifying records and conspiracy in relation to Epstein's death in the Manhattan court on Tuesday afternoon. According to an incident, Noel and Thomas were falling asleep and surfing the internet instead of performing mandatory checks on Epstein's cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center on August 10th, the night he killed himself. After they discovered the high-profile inmate dead, officers allegedly told their superior officer. The officers allegedly told their superior they had messed up and didn't do any checks in the hours before he had killed himself. Noel and Thomas, who had both self-surrendered to the FBI earlier on Tuesday, were supported by about a dozen correctional officers in the courtroom. The two officers were released on a $100,000 bond in order to surrender their firearms and travel documents. In an orchestrated plan, their fellow officers formed a protective barricade to help shield them from photographers as they were released and left the court. Around a dozen correctional officers who turned up in support of their two colleagues formed a protective blockade around the accused and recovered their heads while shepherding them away into waiting cars. This may be something that's overlooked, or this may be big. This is showing that these two people who all of a sudden have allegations thrown at them, maybe they didn't do anything wrong. Maybe, yeah, they were a little lax here, but maybe they also know that the dude didn't kill himself, and these other guards are saying, hey, these two guys and this guy and this girl are good officers, and they're good security, and they do their job well enough where this shouldn't have happened. And they're getting around them because they think they might get killed. Isn't that sad? That these correctional officers don't even trust anybody because maybe they know something. Maybe they've been told to shut up about it. I'm not starting a conspiracy theory here. I'm just thinking out loud. This is them. Noel's attorney, Jason E. Foy, told reporters ahead of the court appearance that his client shouldn't be here. Foy took issues with the judge's orders that the officers had to surrender their firearms, arguing his client had no history of violence. The crimes she is accused of are nonviolent, and the world is crazy. They were ordered not to have any contact with each other ahead of their next court appearance on November 25th. They appeared in court after it was revealed the FBI was looking at a potential that there was criminal enterprise involved in his death. This came up a few days ago, where they're looking into deep-seated corruption that may have happened in terms of, was there a group of people who planned his death? Like I said, if these guys are protecting these security guards, maybe they know something that we don't. Maybe they do know about it and it was planned, or maybe these guys, maybe they think they're the FBI and the higher level people at the security in the prison are trying to pin this on them. Man, if the FBI is already looking into it, it sounds bad. We'll see what comes of it. Noel and Thomas's incident also claimed they sat at their desk, browsed online, and moved about the common area for a substantial portion of their shift instead of completing the required checks. Noel and Thomas allegedly appeared to be asleep at their desk for about 2 hours. Noel used her computer search for furniture and benefit websites. He searched for motorcycles and sports. The pair were only 15 feet away from Epstein when he died. They found him dead when they went to serve him breakfast at 6:30. The last time they checked was about 10:30. Noel allegedly told a supervisor not complete the rounds from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. And we messed up. I messed up. She's not to blame. We didn't do any rounds. I don't know if they confirmed this. This is just from the supervisor. Noel and Thomas, who were assigned to Epstein's special housing unit at the federal jail, are accused of failing to check on him every half hour as required and of fabricating log entries to claim they had. The two guards are accused of repeatedly signing false certifications saying that they were conducting multiple counts of inmates during their shift. The prisoners were not checked on for 8 hours, according to the indictment. Guards were discovered his body at 6:30. Blah blah blah. Just repeating it over and over again. So that's it. There's a little bit more to it, but basically we're gonna have to see where this goes. They aren't admitting to guilt of what they did of this. Apparently, the supervisor is saying that they admitted to that kind of stuff, but if the FBI is looking at it, maybe they know that's a lie too. Maybe he's in on it. From all the evidence, it's either a suicide. I doubt someone murdered him. I doubt some security guard or some FBI agent or some mobster walked in and killed him. What most likely happened is his roommate or bunkmate in there was left alone with him for a long time and had a chance at a high-profile pedophile, and they left the two security guards who they knew would fall asleep with him. And whether that was a concerted effort or one that they just knew would happen, because if you wanted him to if you wanted him to testify, you wouldn't put him with somebody else in a cell. He would be by himself. He'd be in one of those solitary confinement cells, one of them that just don't have anything in it, because they have those for people who are on suicide watch. They have cells where they have beds where you can't wrap anything around your neck. There's no strangling yourself in there. And they've got them basically naked and with a camera on them at all time. There are ways they can prevent this stuff, but it seemed like they did everything they could to not check on them and to basically put them into open game for these other prisoners who probably wouldn't like him as the biggest pedophile basically ever. And the last thing I'm going to mention on this is, remember, regardless of what happens here, there are other people that Epstein affected. There were other people who lived on his quote unquote island. There were his wife, his family, friends that we know for sure were involved in this stuff. And regardless of what happens, these people need to be brought to justice. I know some of them have moved out of the country. Man, it'd be a shame if nothing else comes of this. It really would. Anyway, post what you guys think in the comments below. I know I'm kind of rambling on this as usual, but it's a big deal, and I hope something comes of this. All right, bye-bye.